All right, guys, I'm recording this on the 3rd of October. Starting tomorrow, we are going to be having the Divisional Series for the MLB playoffs. I really can't wait. This is one hell of a time to be a sports fan. We got football, we got college football, we got the MLB playoffs. If you're interested in any soccer, you got that going on as well. There's just so much to deal with, and this is some of the best baseball we'll see all year. I just love the Divisional Series. Some of these matchups as well, they're going to be fantastic. But before we get into the previews for all of these matchups, I just want to discuss the wild card a little bit. It was such an interesting wild card, so I just want to give a quick recap on all those series before we get into it. First, we had the Guardians and the Tigers. Going into this series, I had the Guardians in 3. Obviously, that did not go my way. The Tigers got it done in 3, and they were led in Game 1 by Skubal. 14 Ks. My God, this guy's one of the best pitchers I've seen in my lifetime. He is a pleasure to watch, and he really just carried Detroit in this game. It's not like they put up a ton of runs. Again, they won 2-1, but man, he got them to that point. The Guardians did bounce back in Game 2. They won 6-1 with a couple homers that really elevated them. It just wasn't Detroit's day. But then in the next game, in Game 3 in Cleveland, Detroit got it done. They had a huge rally in the 7th inning. Cleveland's bullpen just couldn't hold them off for much longer, and they put a couple runs on them. Yes, I know Cleveland scored some runs at the end, but really, not that they were garbage time, but we all knew that that series was over. And again, credit to the Tigers. I did not have them winning this series, and it was really just based off of the momentum going into it. They had collapsed. We can be honest here. They collapsed. They had a 15.5 game lead in the division, and they lost. And they lost to the Guardians. It just wasn't looking good from a momentum standpoint and a mental standpoint. But I'll totally take my loss on the chin. Credit to Detroit. I'm happy for their fans. I know that fan base has suffered a while, and for them to move on to beat the Guardians after the collapse, that's just huge. So they will be moving on to play the Mariners moving on in the next series. The next series I want to recap is Cubs-Padres. I had the Cubs originally, but then switched my pick at the last second to the Padres in 3. I was close, but I did not get that one correct either. So to start off this series for the Cubs and the Padres, Pivetta was dealing. He was looking really, really good. He looked in command. He looked in control. But then that 5th inning came, and the Cubs got 2 home runs off of him. They ended up winning the game 3-1, so they were up 1-0 in the series. But then the Padres bounced back. The next day, Machado with a huge home run, and he scores. And then, of course, they win 3-0 versus the Cubs offense. It did not show up in Game 2, and everything came down to Game 3. And really, that's all that we really wanted to see just from a competitive standpoint. But man, the X factor in this game was Yu Darvish. He got pulled so early. He was just giving up hits left and right. He only lasted an inning. He did allow 2 runs, which it could have been way worse. So credit to the Padres bullpen for at least keeping them in the game. But just to start off in that much of a hole on the road as well, it's just not where you want to be if you're the Padres. And at some point after that, the Padres bullpen did give up another home run. Yes, San Diego did score late, and they did get robbed on a really bad call by the ump, and they had some traffic on the bases, but it just still wasn't enough from them to get it done versus the Cubs, and the Cubs won the series 2-1. Another thing I wanted to point out before we get into the next recap of the wild card was, man, this Padres offense was just rough. When you look at their 2 best guys, Tatis, he was 1 for 12 in the series. Machado, 1 for 10. Yes, he did have the home run, which was huge, but you're not really going to be winning many, if any, series if 2 of your best hitters are playing like that. It just was not enough offense on the road. And again, you just really gave your pitchers no room for error. And yes, obviously Darvish did not do the greatest job to start off Game 3, but still, when you know you're getting little to no run support, it's just a really, really hard position to be in as a player and as a team. Then we had Red Sox and Yankees. This one I was so excited for. Obviously, just from the history standpoint, these teams do not like each other. That's pretty clear. That's been a fact for years, if not a decade, a century plus at this point. But this one, I had the Yankees in 3, and I actually was correct for once. I was finally correct. I had the Yankees in 3. They got it done. And we started off this series not necessarily with an upset, but man, Crochet, he pitched his ass off against the Yankees. He did a great job. He did let up 1 home run to Volpe, but it didn't matter. Once Fried was pulled in that Game 1, The Yankees bullpen gave it up, and they just didn't have enough offense. The Red Sox were up 1-0 in the series, and I was like, okay, we'll see how the Yankees respond. And man, did they respond in Game 2. It was a back-and-forth game. Started with the Ben Rice home run to make it 2-0. But then again, Trevor Story was doing all that he could to keep Boston in it. It was actually tied 3-3 in the 8th. But then Grisham ends up scoring. He ends up scoring in the 8th, and the Yankees win the game 4-3. That was a very, very good game. In my opinion, it was the best game of the series. But then we got to Game 3, and all I can say is, man, this was the Schlittler game. I don't know why I'm saying his name wrong right now, but this was the Schlittler game. This kid dominated. He dominated the Red Sox. Oh, my God, what a performance from this kid. What a performance. And as a rookie as well, a 24-year-old as well. This kid just goes out there and absolutely shoves. He absolutely shoves. 12 Ks on 107 pitches, and out of those 107 pitches, 75 of those were strikes. So he was throwing 70% of all of his pitches were strikes. That's just wild. That's wild to me. And I just had to give the kid credit. In the biggest moment, he grew up a Red Sox fan as well, and the kid showed up. So congrats to them. The Yankees will move on, and they will be going to play the Blue Jays in the Divisional Series. And I don't have much to say about this series with the Dodgers and the Reds. I had the Dodgers in the sweep, and it was no disrespect to the Reds, but they just really aren't, an elite team. They're not. I mean, they really only got in the postseason because the Mets couldn't beat the Marlins on the last day. So credit to them for at least getting in the postseason. I thought it's not that they necessarily didn't have a better fight, but I just expected a little bit more out of their pitching. But LA was just way too dominant. Their offense was just so good. I mean, 5 homers in Game 1 of that series. It just really wasn't looking like they had much of a chance. I feel bad for the Reds. At least you guys made it, but I don't think they can necessarily feel too bad. You were going against arguably, at least offensively, the best team in baseball. It's just going to be really tough in that spot, especially on the road as well. And the Dodgers also will be moving on to play the Phillies. So the first series we're going to start with is the Cubs versus Brewers. And like I said, I'm very, very excited for this one. These two played some very electric games in the regular season. Whenever they play in Milwaukee, the Cubs, man, those fans really, really show up. So I'm excited to see how this is in the playoffs. Obviously, again, these teams have a lot of history together, being in the same division. But the Brewers, they kind of came out of nowhere this year. They didn't even start that hot either, but man, did they just start getting off to a crazy start. I would say probably around, I think it was May-ish, if I can remember correctly, and they just went on a crazy run, and they ended up winning the division. But when we look at this series, I don't really know where to go with this, because I look at the lineup, and Chicago has a better lineup. It's just the fact. They have a better lineup from a hitting perspective. But then when we look at the starting pitchers for both of these teams, I definitely will take Peralta over anyone on the Cubs, and he's obviously the best pitcher for the Brewers. And he's confirmed to be starting in Game 1. So I think that's a huge advantage for the Brewers, at least in Game 1. And I think they will win that game because of him, just because of how dominant he's been as a pitcher this year. But then we take a look at the bullpens, and I favor the Cubs bullpen more. And this is where it starts to become tough for me. I had this series going 5, 100%. I have it going 5. I'm teetering on, like, my brain is telling me Cubs. But I just am like, maybe this is the Brewers' year. I know they've been cursed just by all the playoff heartbreak that they've dealt with, but maybe this is a different year. I'm not really sure. It's not like the Cubs' offense was necessarily like the most elite thing ever against the Padres, but again, they were also going against a very, if not the best bullpen in the MLB, so it's going to be tough to get a lot of runs there anyways, and again, we know how good of a lineup Chicago is, but I will say at the same time, it's not like the Chicago lineup was necessarily the greatest team ever at the end of the season, though they did go into the postseason a little bit better hitting. I'm going to go with the Brewers in 5. I do not feel confident about this pick. I really don't. Again, my brain's telling me Cubs in 5, but I'm going to go Brewers in 5. I think they advance to the NLCS. One last tidbit about the Brewers and Cubs. The Brewers are minus 125 to win the series, so it's going to be tight, but the bookmakers see it as the Brewers just having the edge, and I'm going to, again, go with the bookmakers. I think they get it done. I got the Brewers in 5. Next, we have Phillies-Dodgers. The Phillies will host the Dodgers, and I won't go too in-depth on this one just because I am making a separate video on the series as I am a Phillies fan, so I feel like I have a little bit more just to talk about in this series, and that's an entire video that I'm going to be putting out as well. So if you want a more detailed breakdown of that video will be out. I'm not sure which one I'm getting out first, either that one or this prediction, but regardless, we can still talk about the series. The Dodgers are minus 125 going into this series, so the bookmakers do see them winning, but that's where I have to disagree. Now, again, I'm a homer. I'm a Phillies fan, but for me personally, the biggest X factor for me in this series is by far the Dodgers bullpen. They have the 21st best ERA in all of the MLB, obviously not very good. And I just think that's too big of an X factor for me to rely on. Yes, I do like some of the starters for the Dodgers with Yamamoto and Snell, and just seeing what they can do with that there. And of course, I have to respect that lineup as well. I mean, it is one of the best lineups in the MLB once they really get going, which obviously versus the Reds, they did a very good job. But when we look at the Phillies have, in my opinion, also one of the best lineups in baseball by far. They have one of, if not the best rotation in baseball from a starting pitcher perspective, and this is all without Zach Wheeler. And I feel more confident about this Phillies bullpen now that they have Duran, a closer, and not just a closer, an elite closer. I think that's a huge X factor for the Phillies. I just think they're overall not necessarily the more complete team, because again, I do really, really, really respect the Dodgers lineup, but I just think that the Phillies have a little bit more depth in a couple places, and I just think there's a little bit less pressure on that bullpen compared to LA's. I think the Phillies can get to LA's. I think it's going to be a tight series. I think it's going to be a battle of titans just based off both of these teams. They can really score, but I'm going to go Phillies in 5. I think they upset the books, and I think they get it done. I think they go play the Brewers in the NLCS. Now we hop over to the AL. We have the Yankees getting hosted by the Blue Jays. And this is a very, very interesting one. Going into the series, the Yankees are actually minus 150, even though they are the road team. And there's a couple big factors why. Number one, Bo Bichette. He is not necessarily ruled out for the series, but as of today, he has not even ran at all. He has a banged up knee, and he has not taken any BP as well. So when we look at it from that point, okay, the Blue Jays will be down a key bat, and also Barrios got hurt right before the postseason, so they're going to be down a starter as well. And when I have to look at this objectively, it's just tough for me to want to pick the Blue Jays here, just because again, when you look at both of these teams, they can both score. I mean, man, can both these teams score. Toronto was looking so elite in the middle of the season. Yankees, I think they scored the most runs out of the entire MLB this year, or at least I think it was either the most runs or the most home runs. I apologize that I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'm just going to have to go with the Yankees here. I think it's just a gut reaction. Maybe it's just because I just saw them play. Both these teams, of course, they know each other very well. They are divisional opponents. I think this is just going to be a very high-scoring series. I think it's going to be tight, though. I got the Yankees in 5, but, man, it's going to be tough. But, again, I just can't go with the Blue Jays knowing the fact that you're down one of your bats and you're down a starting pitcher. And, again, I don't want to get too hyperbolic, but after Schlittler, after his performance against the Red Sox, or Schlittler, excuse me, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. After his performance versus the Red Sox, I mean, man, he potentially changes this rotation for the Yankees. Obviously, you can rely on Fried. Rodon's been reliable this year, but he didn't necessarily have the greatest game versus the Red Sox. But, man, if this kid, if he can be an X factor for that rotation, it really, really helps out the bullpen for the Yankees. And, again, I don't love the Yankees bullpen. I'm not necessarily in love with the Blue Jays bullpen. But, again, I have to trust the healthier team. I have the Yankees in 5. I think they get it done to go to the ALCS. The last series we have to discuss and preview is the Mariners hosting the Detroit Tigers. And going into this, the bookmakers have the Mariners at minus 165. So they are seen as the clear favorite. And I think rightfully so. I mean, when you look at it, they're just overall the better team than Detroit. Obviously, again, Detroit had the collapse at the end of the year. But that really doesn't matter at this point just because, again, we're in the postseason. It obviously didn't matter versus Cleveland. So I'm not really going to bring it up much. But still, I think I'm going to have to go with the Mariners here. And my main reasons are, number one, I was reading into this. Yes, the Tigers do have Skubal, and I think that they can potentially win that game in Seattle if he's going to pitch in Game 1. I'm not sure if he is. But whatever game that he's pitching in, I think 100% they win. My biggest concern is if they have to pitch Skubal again, potentially in a closeout game, he's going to be on short rest, and that is obviously not the greatest thing you want out of your elite talent. So I think that's a potential X factor in this series. And also, I trust the Mariners offense way more. The deadline really, really helped them. I trust it way more than Detroit's, though. Detroit's has been good, but it's not necessarily been great in the last month-ish. So I'm going to go with the Mariners offense. And then when we look at the bullpen as well, the Mariners were ranked the 9th best bullpen based on their ERA compared to Detroit's, which was at the 17th. And we saw that, again, the Guardians are not a great hitting team, but even in that game too, they were still able to get runs on Detroit. So I'm going to go Mariners in 4 here. I just think that they get it done. They've been the better team overall all year, and I just think they have a little bit more talent on really almost all ends of their team compared to Detroit. I think Detroit will give them a good fight, 100%. This is going to be a fight, but I'm going to go with the Mariners here. I think they will go see the Yankees in the ALCS, and those are my predictions for the divisional series for the MLB playoffs. Let me know your predictions down below. Like I said, I am so excited for this. My entire weekend will be watching baseball, watching the NFL, watching college football, going to Game 2 on Monday. Man, I mean, it's just going to be one hell of a weekend, so I really can't wait. Drop your predictions, like I said, down below. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. And if you're interested in hearing some potential recaps of either, I don't know if I'm going to do a game by game. I don't know if I will because I just don't think I'm going to have the time. But I at least will try to break down some pivotal games or at least the series of these once they are done. We're just kind of going to go with the flow. It depends on my schedule. Regardless, if you're interested in that, please subscribe. You'll definitely be seeing more videos out of me, at least when it comes to the MLB playoffs. And if you like this video, feel free to give it a like. And if you're interested in any of my short-term content, you can find that on TikTok, and that will be in the description down below. And last, if you made it to this far in the video, I really, really appreciate you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.